Right. So all of us at Impact 100 are really proud to bring to your attention the three 2023 finalists. They all have dynamic management teams that implement really well thought out strategies to tackle complex social need. And they are, can you bring up the slide? Yes, here they are. Rights of Women, Sister System, and Clean Break. So three great charities. This may be the first introduction for you to these three charities, but after you hear from them today, you will be receiving a summary of assessment that we'll distribute early June. And then of course, you'll be hearing from them directly at the event on June 15. So let's hear from our three assessors about why we selected them. And let's start with Olivia and Rights of Women.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be telling you a bit more about the charity that I've been working with, which is Rights of Women. So I'll start off by telling you a little bit about Rights of Women, what they do, why it's important, and then a bit more as to why we've chosen them as one of our three finalists. So what do they do and why is it important? So Rights of Women is a totally unique charity in Great Britain, in that it's the only charity that offers free legal advice to women who are either have experienced or at risk of experience violence against them. And that could mean a woman whose partner is abusing her. It could be a victim of rape, a girl who's being pressured into a forced marriage or female genital mutilation. It could be someone who's experiencing sexual harassment at work. And as we know, violence against women and girls is widespread. Every year, 3 million UK women are affected by violence. So these are very complex, very frightening situations for any woman or girl to go through. But imagine if your immigration status was insecure, or if you had no one to support you and confide in. You didn't understand what your legal rights were, and you didn't have the funds to get legal advice yourself. I think in that situation, it's particularly terrifying and overwhelming. And it's not surprising that according to Rights of Women and their data, 70% of women don't escape an abusive situation when they can't get legal advice. But if they are in a situation like that, what a woman can do is to call up Rights of Women's free legal helpline. And that is staffed by specialists, solicitors and barristers with expertise in a particular legal area, a mix of staff and volunteers who can advise women on the law and on their rights so that they can take action, and if they need to, represent themselves. And the feedback that Rights of Women gathers shows that by this process, women have a much better understanding of the law and also feel much more confident about tackling a legal issue. Now, in this way, Rights of Women supports about 3,500 women a year, but it's conscious it can't reach everyone like this. So what it also does is produce free handbooks and legal guides so that women have access to more information. And they also train professionals like social workers or other charity workers so that they're in a position to also support women in these kind of situations. And lastly, Rights of Women also campaigns for change, policy change, legal change. And in that way, they're not just dealing with the immediate problems with this helpline, but they're also campaigning for long-term change so that we can find long-term solutions to these problems. And it's really with this three-pronged strategy that they call advise, educate, advocate, that they can aim to maximize their impact. So why have we chosen them as one of our three finalists? Well, there's a few reasons. The first is what I've outlined before. There's a huge need out there, and what they do is completely unique. They also do a really good job. As part of our due diligence, we spend a lot of time looking at impact data, feedback from users and that kind of thing. And the feedback that they get is really, really excellent. The second is they're a really serious, comprehensive organization. As I've talked about, they have the hotline, the training, the advocacy work, and they have real credibility in their sector. If they're speaking to an official in Ministry of Justice about what needs to change around legal aid or policy or the law, they're coming to that conversation with real insight and knowledge because of the conversations they're having with women in these really, really difficult situations. And again, as part of our due diligence, we do reference calls with people in the sector, and it's really clear that Rights of Women is a really highly respected, highly credible organisation. The third point is it's a very solid organisation. It's been going for nearly 50 years. It's got a strong management team, strong financial position, etc. But one thing that differentiates them from other charities is they receive very little what's called unrestricted funding. So they get a lot of restricted funding, which it has to be spent on specific projects. And that means that they haven't always had the chance to invest in their own operations. So it means that a grant like the kind that we give, which is unrestricted, would be particularly valuable to an organization like Rights of Women. And lastly, and really critically, we think they'd be a great organization to partner with. As part of our due diligence, we spend a lot of time getting to know teams, and we found them to be really open, really honest, really collaborative, and really good at partnership working. And again, that's come through in the reference calls. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight as to what Rights of Women is about and why we've shortlisted them. And you can find out a little bit more in June, and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Olivia. Next is Fancy, but as Erica mentioned, Fancy is unable to join us, so we're going to cue her video now to discuss Sister System.
I'm delighted to bring to your attention one of the incredible charities we have selected for Impact 100 this year, Sister Systems. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what they do, why it's critical, and why we've selected them as a finalist. Sister Systems is London's first and only frontline charitable organization for girls aged 13 to 24 in or affected by the care system. Did you know that 36% of 19-year-old care leavers are not in education, training, or employment? And nearly 2/3 of women in the criminal justice system are care affected. Sister Systems are, to quote one of their partners, a super practical, pragmatic, and clear-eyed approach to supporting vulnerable young women. They prioritize early intervention work. Over a Sister System year, they offer therapeutic mentoring, one-to-one support, resilience building workshops, and workshops to gain nationally accredited qualifications. As I saw on a recent site visit, they also offer a genuine family, a home, for any girl or young woman who is unable to rely on traditional support structures. Sister Systems are also rightly proud of having worked with nearly 400 girls in their 4 years of operation. Over the next 3 years, they want to expand and consolidate their enrichment program to reach over 400 girls across London. To do this, they have brought in a future-focused board and developed key partners across London. So why have we selected them for Impact 100 this year? Because Sister Systems is truly an of, by, for, with charity. Meaning, from design to delivery, care-affected girls are at the center of their work, as users, staff, and in their day-to-day governance. Sister Systems are also extremely credible and well-respected. They have a clear path to impact, evidenced through a rigorous theory of change and measurement and evaluation process. They are deeply self-reflective and pragmatic about their strategy and operations, and are investing in the tools and resources to help them grow transparently and thoughtfully. Sister Systems are successfully gaining the trust of partners from across business, government, and trusts and foundations. As with most young charities, Sister Systems are experiencing classic organizational development dilemmas, and are deeply self-reflective, collaborative, and open about how they learn and adapt to be of service to their girls. To do this, they have been strong at tapping into their networks, friends, supporters, and what's available to them to help them grow sustainably. All of this makes them an important and timely partner for Impact 100 members. Please join me in congratulating them as a finalist for Impact 100. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Fancy. And finally, Clean Break with Stacy.
Okay, so yes, our last but not least charity is Clean Break. Clean Break is a theater company that works exclusively with women who've been in prison or those who are at risk of entering it due to the challenges that they're facing. Research has found that the majority of women's offenses are low-level, nonviolent crimes, and prison is rarely a necessary or appropriate response to women who offend. Most of these women face a complex range of issues. As you just heard Fancy say, many are from the care system. The majority have been victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. Many have struggled with drug and alcohol use, mental distress, and of course, poverty. Not only does prison not address these issues, but once out of prison, women also struggle to receive the correct benefits. They contend with insecure housing and child custody issues. And historically, 58% end up back in prison within a year. So Clean Break's mission is to contribute to building these women's skills, creativity, and well-being using theater practice. They offer workshops and performance opportunities at all levels, led by respected female theater artists, but underpinned by holistic support to help women get on their feet, help with transportation, hot meals and childcare, digital access, and referral to other key services, as well as offering opportunities to progress to further education and potential careers in the arts. Clean Break also produces plays that the women help to write and some women act in, aimed at raising awareness of the damage caused by the criminal justice system, while also empowering the individual women involved and all those whose stories have gone into the scripts. Liz and I recently went to see a play written and acted by 3 women from Clean Break, followed by a panel discussion. And I was truly amazed at the power of this medium to convey the stories and circumstances of these 3 characters. They really do bring it to life, and a lot of people might not have understood the extent of the problems or realize what these women had been through. So why did we select Clean Break? In addition to the power of this medium, firstly, they have a track record of success. They've been around for 40 years and work with around 175 women a year. And what we like in particular is that they're focused on long-term change. By increasing confidence, well-being, and soft as well as hard skills, they support women to transition to more productive lives. And independent research has found that over 70% of Clean Break's beneficiaries progress to education, employment, and volunteering. And we also like the advocacy side of their mission. Through plays, by humanizing women's stories and breaking down prejudices, they're able to amplify the work that they do at the individual level. As with all charities that we choose, we were also very impressed with their leadership team. They piloted a 3-woman CEO model who redesigned their strategy, staying true to its theater company roots, but placing even more emphasis on the women. And they've incorporated women with lived experience throughout the organization, from designing activities to sitting on the board, which ensures that their needs are better served. And finally, Clean Break has a lot of credibility as both an arts organization with partnerships and performances with some of the most important theaters in London, as well as in the criminal justice and women's sectors. So I guess I'll just end by saying that I have to admit that I was a skeptic myself when I began this process. With all the great organizations out there, I wasn't sure whether applied arts with this particular community would be impactful on a relative basis. But being able to see what Clean Break does firsthand and meeting with their leadership team and trustees and speaking with their references, I've really been blown away by the work that they do.